Hello everybody, welcome to OMSAIRAM YouTube channel, and through this video we are going to discuss countable and uncountable nouns, and these are two very important topics in noun topic. And if you want to use articles correctly, you must know what are countable nouns and what are uncountable nouns. How can we find out whether a noun is countable or uncountable? Okay, let us start our presentation. Countable versus uncountable nouns. What is the use of some, any, a few, a little, many, much? We use some of them before countable nouns and some of them as are before uncountable nouns. Okay, let us see how much. If you find this kind of phrase, how much, then if you ask a question to yourself, how much, that will give you the answer whether the noun is countable or uncountable. Usually for uncountable, that means the nouns which cannot be counted, which cannot be measured, we put a question how much, that refers to quantity. Okay. If they are countable nouns, that means number, that nouns that can be counted 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and they have singular, plural. Then to find out the nouns which are countable, we have to ask a question how many. By asking this question how many, we can find out the countable nouns. Look here, for example, how much coffee do you drink? So here coffee is taken as uncountable noun. Okay. And look at the second example, how many cups of coffee do you drink? So here if we just use coffee and that is being used as a material noun, so that is uncountable. So you have to put a question how much. Okay. Next, if we add cups of coffee, cups of tea, then that becomes countable, because I want a cup of coffee, I want a cup of tea. Okay. I want a glass of juice. If we say only juice, that is uncountable. If we say a glass of juice, that is countable. So we just make some modifications. So how many cups of coffee do you drink? How many? Usually we use how many to find out the countable nouns. In question we use how many with plural countable nouns, because countable nouns are singular and plural. How many newspapers do you read every day? How many euros means the currency of Europe. Okay, unit of currency. How many euros have you got? So these are all countable, so we used how many. How much, and as we discussed previously, how much is used to find out the uncountable nouns. Okay. We use how much with uncountable nouns. How much paper is in the printer? Usually paper is a material noun. We cannot say I want a paper, I want 2 papers, but if you want to make this paper countable, you can add a piece of, a sheet of, a quire of, okay, a ream of. How much paper is in the printer? How much money have you got? Usually money is also considered as uncountable, so use how much. Land it some countable. Okay. These are examples of countable. Some people, some cups, some books, some newspapers, some chairs, some shoes, some euros. Of course the number is not known, indefinite, but more than one and can be countable. All these nouns are countable. And statements, we can use some in positive sentences with plural countable nouns. Use of some and any is very confusing. So we use some in positive sentences with plural countable nouns, because they convey plural sense. I read some books. How many is not known. Okay. Some particular number. So I read some books. Books plural, so we are using some before countable plural nouns. Uncountable, we can use some in positive sentences with uncountable nouns. I would like some coffee. So, some means maybe a cup or a little, okay, not certain. Countable, there aren't any people. So, in negative sentences we use any, or in interrogative sentences also we use any. So, there aren't people, any cups, any books, any newspapers, any chairs, any shoes, any euros. Remember, we use any with negative sentences and interrogative sentences, and we use some with positive countable plural nouns. Next, uncountable, there isn't any. So, before uncountable nouns also we use any, okay. Any money, any traffic. Can you count traffic? One traffic, two traffic? No, not possible. So, because see here paper also is uncountable only, because it is material noun, time, coffee, food, and before this uncountable nouns in negative sense we can use any. Next, what is the next statement? We can use any in negative sentences. I already explained this just now with plural countable nouns. Negative, I don't read any books. If you want to say it positively, I read some books. And what is the negative sentence of I read some books? I don't read any books. Whenever you are using negative, not or no, then automatically we are replacing some with any. We can use any in negative sentences with uncountable nouns. I don't want any coffee. If you want to use it in positive way, I want some coffee. Remember the difference. Countable, aren't there any people, cups, books, newspapers, chairs, shoes, euros. With this countable also in negative sentences, as we have discussed earlier, we can use any. Uncountable, isn't there any, and even in singular also, even with the uncountable in negative sentences which are we can use any. Any money, isn't there any money, any traffic, any paper, any chime, coffee, food, etc. Let us see the question. We can use any in questions with plural countable nouns. We can use any in question means interrogative sentences with plural countable nouns. Let us see positive question, are there any books, interrogative, and negative, aren't there any books. Okay. In two ways you can ask, are there any books, that is positive, interrogative only, and even interrogative negative also, aren't there any books. In these two instances we use any. We can use any in questions with plural uncountable nouns also. Do you need any coffee? You should not say do you need some coffee, don't you need any coffee. So, we have to use any in interrogative sentences, of course positive or negative. Next, let us see the note here. When you expect the answer to be yes to an offer or polite request, you can ask a question using some. See, if somebody asks you any question using any, whether positive or negative, if you think that answer is yes, or if the speaker expect the answer as yes or positive or affirmative, then you can use some. See, question, can I have some books please? Okay. Then uncountable, would you like some coffee? See, even in countable or uncountable we can use some if the answer is expected yes. For example, can I have some books please? Yes. If the answer is expected as positive, can I have some books please means yes, you will surely get. Would you like some coffee? Yes, the speaker expects some coffee. A few, so there are a few. A few is generally used with countable nouns. Okay. A few people, a few cups, books, a few newspapers, a few chairs, a few shoes, and a few euros. And a little is generally used with uncountable nouns, a little money, a little traffic, a little paper, a little time, a little coffee, a little food. Okay. And countable and uncountable statements. Positive, I meet a few people every day, of course not many but some. I only have a few euros. Okay. Next, there is a little paper in the printer, I only have a little money. So, here in the positive sentences we used few because they are countable, and in the last two sentences, that means there is a little paper in the printer, I only have a little money, these are uncountable. Paper and money we generally consider as uncountable. Okay. And with countable nouns we use a few, and with uncountable nouns we use a little. Next, many, there aren't many people. So, many also is generally used before countable nouns. Many people, many cups, many books, many newspapers, many chairs, many shoes. And much, much is used before uncountable noun. Okay. There isn't much money, much traffic, much paper, much time, much coffee, much food. So, know the difference between many and much, and few and a little, and any and some. These are very confusable. Okay. Next, countable statements. Negative, I don't read many books. Okay. You can use many because books are countable, and of course, this sentence is negative, interrogative, this is a negative statement. And next, questions. In positive question, how should we make this question? Are there many books? Okay. Negative, aren't there many books, just adding NOT. Okay. And uncountable statements. Negative, what did we use previously? With countable we used many, and with uncountable we use much. Simply negative sentence, I don't drink much coffee. And in positive and negative questions also we can use much before uncountable nouns. Do you need much coffee? Don't you need much coffee? In such a way you can use. Thank you for listening to me patiently, and try to practice as many exercises as possible on countable and uncountable nouns, especially the use of some, any, little, a little, few, a few. Next, what? I mean many, much, so that you become perfect and fluent in writing and speaking. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.